Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, along the Monterey Peninsula. Call Anthony Catania down there at 831-521-5264. And we're also brought to you by Mancini's Sleep World. That's right. Looking to upgrade your sleep? Now's the perfect time. Our friends at Mancini's Sleep World are kicking off their spring clearance sale Tuesday, March 25th. You don't want to miss these deals. Up to 50% off select mattresses, 2 free pillows with any Tempur-Pedic mattress purchase, plus an extra 10% off when you use our exclusive code Krug10. And the best part, they offer a 365-night comfort guarantee. They give you a full year to decide if your mattress is the perfect fit. On top of that, they provide free next-day delivery and a best price guarantee, so you can shop with total confidence. The spring clearance sale runs from March 25th through April 28th, so don't wait. Click the link the link in the description to shop now and experience better sleep at Mancini's Sleep World. Once again, click in the description and make sure you use the code Krug10 to get that discount. Once again, don't forget, click in that description. Make sure you use the code Krug10 to get your deposit. And thanks to Mancini's for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's talk a little bit about Matt Miller, NFL draft guru for ESPN.com, good friend of ours. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago. Good guy, Niner fan, based out in Missouri, and has been covering the NFL draft for ESPN, before that for Bleacher Report. And he released his annual 7-round mock draft, which is a comprehensive projection, I should say, of all 257 picks coming up in the April NFL draft. And his Niner picks are really interesting. And I thought in this video, we could review what Matt Miller is predicting for the 49ers, because I think it's really interesting across the board. All right, let's start in round one. A lot of people, Miller has been critical of the Niners in the past for not addressing the offensive line. And yet he doesn't have the Niners, going offensive line in the trenches in the first round. Instead, he says the Niners are going to attack the secondary. And he's got the Niners with the 11th overall pick. He's predicting John Lynch is going to use it on Michigan cornerback Will Johnson, who a lot of people feel is a, plug-and-play starter at corner, that he is going to start, and that would give the Niners Renardo Green and Demo Lenore and Will Johnson at corner, which would be a great, a great way to go at corner. There's no question about that. Now, Miller explained, he says, what do you get for a team that lost 9 starters this offseason? The best player on the board. Johnson is that player, a seamless replacement for Charvarius Ward, who would be a true homegrown talent at cornerback 1, something the 49ers haven't had in ages. Johnson was limited to 6 games in 2024 with a toe injury, but he had 2 interceptions, both of which he returned for touchdowns. His playmaking ability and savvy ball skills in zone coverage remind me of Trevon Diggs. So Miller did acknowledge that Johnson has an injury history, but he thinks his talent makes it worth the gamble. He says, when healthy, Will Johnson is one of the best defenders in the nation. The Niners can bet on a bounce back in health and can bet that Johnson will develop better tackling at the next level. So he's projecting Will Johnson to the Niners. I like the idea. Not necessarily Will Johnson, though I'm nothing against Will Johnson, but I think one of the more intriguing, safe picks for the 49ers in round one is the other corner, the Texas corner, Jahdae Barron. Like Will Johnson, these are dominant players. These are guys that, Barron was the Thorpe Award winner. Which goes to the best defensive back in the nation. He was incredibly productive. He's good on the boundary. He's good in the slot, inside, outside. It doesn't matter. Barron's a playmaker, and he just turns off the water faucet for whoever he goes against, and he's just really, really good. Will Johnson's even a little taller and has some incredible skills. Now, Barron doesn't have the injury profile that Johnson has had. So that would be my one concern with Will Johnson, is just how healthy is he going to be? How healthy, can he be? But going with a dominant, polished corner at the start is not crazy. Not crazy at all. In fact, if you really want to get a complete draft and fill a lot of your needs, a corner in the first round might make a lot of sense just because it's a very, Will Johnson and Jahdae Barron, I think, are polished players, and there's very little risk. Where there's risk in every one of these prospects, right? But Will Johnson's very polished. If he's healthy and you think he's going to be healthy, that would be a great pick. As I said, I might go Jahdae Barron, but I like the idea of a corner there in round 1 to get it rolling. All right, round 2. It's interesting with Javon Hargrave departing. The Niners have a major need on the defensive line. I think most Niner fans would say that defensive tackle is their primary need. And the guy that Matt Miller has the Niners taking in round 2 is a guy that a lot of Niner fans would be totally thrilled if the Niners took in round 1. And that's Walter Nolan, the Ole Miss defensive tackle, who, according to Matt Miller, Matt thinks he's going to slip out of the first round. And he's got the Niners taking him at 43. And I just find this almost impossible to believe that Walter Nolan, who's played in the SEC, 5-star recruit, he was good at A&M, he was better at Ole Miss, he can do it against the run, he can stop the run, the pass. You're telling me that guy's gonna fall out of the first round altogether? I don't see that. But Miller says with Javon Hargrave having moved on, the 49ers need at both tackle spots in their 4-3 defense. When dialed in, Nolan can be a difference maker at the 3 technique with fantastic first step quickness and proven production. 14 TFLs, 6.5 sacks just coming in 2024. So I love the pick. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if Walter Nolan is there, I absolutely would run that card up, and I wouldn't even think twice. I wouldn't even take any time. I wouldn't even entertain trades. Just let's pick this guy. But you're telling me the Chiefs and the Eagles are going to pass on Walter Nolan at the end of the first round? Find that hard to believe. Really do. But that's who he's got going to the Niners from round 2, Walter Nolan. So that's pretty good. Now, round 3 is where this thing starts to really get interesting. Matt Miller says this is where the Niners are going to address the offensive line in round 3. And he's got them taking 2 offensive tackles, 2 huge offensive tackles at 75 and 100. First, at 75, he has him taking Minnesota's Ariante Ursary. And the quote was, the 49ers would choose their eventual Trent Williams replacement in the powerful, crafty Ursary, who has developmental upside with 5.01 speed at 331 pounds. I love that idea. To me, this would be a slam dunk. If you could get Ariante Ursary in the 3rd round like this, why? Because they run the outside zone at Minnesota. This guy is incredibly fast at 340 pounds. He's a big man who can really move. And then you factor in that they run the same outside zone scheme. I think he's a great fit. I think he is an outstanding fit. And then the 49ers, Matt Miller has them taking Texas offensive tackle, Big Cam Williams, with their 2nd pick in the 3rd round. I said the offensive line in San Francisco could be a round 1 need given the current roster, Miller wrote. Adding Cameron Williams at right tackle in round 3 is a value and a scheme fit thanks to his power in the run game. So Cam Williams, a big, powerful offensive lineman for the University of Texas, and Ursary is a big Big Ten powerful powerhouse in his own right. Man, if they went with those 2 guys in the 3rd round, that would really give their offensive line a lot more pop, a lot more size and power in the run game. Very intriguing. All right, so now we get to day 3. And day 3, the Niners have 2 picks in the 4th round, 2 picks in the 5th round, and 3 picks in the 7th round. That's how it pans out right now. We'll see. There's also talk about moving Brandon Ayuk, and if so, they could add quite a few picks. There's a lot of talk that Cleveland's interested. Cleveland has 4 picks in the 6th round. There's talk that the Patriots have interest. They have 3 picks in the 7th round. So the Niners could add quite a few picks to their draft arsenal if they move Ayuk, and that's something to look for. They could also add some significant picks if they move down from 11 into the 20s, which they could do. But when I'm looking at Matt Miller's day 3 of the draft, this is where I really get excited, because if this draft goes this way, the 49ers are going to be back in a very short amount of time. In round 4, pick 113, he's got them taking Savion Jones. Savion Jones is a defensive end who can play defensive tackle. He's 290 pounds, but he's a defensive end. I love him as a first and second down defensive end, and then I love him as an interior third down pass rusher. I think he's got great value. I would take him in the 3rd round. If he's there in the 4th round, it's a steal. It's a total steal. So that's a great pick. That if they're 4th, they get Savion Jones in the 4th round. I mean, that is just going to be an amazing pick. With their second 4th round pick number 138, he has him taking R.J. Harvey from UCF, Central Florida, the running back. The more I look at the running backs, the more I love this guy, R.J. Harvey. He's 5'8", 210 pounds. He gives you no surface area to hit. He runs 4.4 flat. So he's got great speed, really, really good cutting ability. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Man, R.J. Harvey looks terrific. I mean, I think he's going to be an excellent NFL running back. So to get him in the 4th round, and I think he probably will be there in the 4th round. I think that's probably a pretty accurate portrayal of how this draft's going to go. I love that pick. R.J. Harvey in the 4th round, absolutely love it. Love it. Turn in the card. Round 5, pick 147. He has him taking Thomas Fedone for the second from Nebraska, tight end. I'd have to study him a little bit more. Don't know much about him. Also in round 5, he has him taking linebacker Cody Simon from Ohio State. I think it's an awesome day 3 linebacker draft. Eugene Asante, Chandler Martin, Nick Martin, David Benda. There's just a bunch of them. There's a bunch of guys. There's a guy from South Carolina State that's awesome. Cody Simon's a really good player. He has the Niners taking Cody Simon with pick number 160. I think it's solid. I like Eugene Asante and a couple of the other guys, Chandler Martin, a little bit more. But Cody Simon's damn good. Good, solid 3-down linebacker who can play the weak side. He can play the middle linebacker. That would help their linebacking core immensely. The next 2 picks. Now, the Niners have 3 7th-round picks, 227, 249, 252. He has the Niners at 227 taking Riley Leonard, the quarterback from Notre Dame. There's something special about Riley Leonard. I don't know what it is, but there's something really special about that kid. He's a winner. He gets it done. There's all this talk, he doesn't have a good enough arm, and he didn't throw the ball down the field very much at Notre Dame, and then he went to the combine. He threw great. He looked great. Threw the ball well. I don't think he has arm strength issues at all. I think he's got requisite arm strength for sure. 6'4", 220 pounds, athletic as hell, kind of a winner, kind of a gamer, super competitive. I love that pick. Riley Leonard at 227 in round 7. I think Riley Leonard would probably wind up beating out Tanner Mordecai for that 3rd quarterback spot. That would be my guess at that point, but that would be a competition. He might even be good enough to beat out Mac Jones for the number 2 spot. I really like Riley Leonard. I think there's something really magical about him as a prospect. There's 3 or 4 quarterbacks that I like, and he's one of them. He's really, really good. I watched a ton of Notre Dame this year. He just, he didn't throw the ball down the field very much, and they ran it a lot, but he made play after play. They got to the national championship game. And they did it without some of their key players. So I'm a big Riley Leonard guy. And I think, you might want to take him in the 5th or 6th round, but if he's there in the 7th round, that's a steal. All right, pick number 249. If this pick happens, I'm going to be doing cartwheels. He's got Willie Lampkin, the center from North Carolina, who's 5'10", 270. I sent Matt a note saying, Matt, man, I love this player. This is like one of my favorite players in the whole draft. He said, this is my draft crush. So me and Matt Miller both see this the same way. Willie Lampkin is 5'10". He's got arms longer than guys that are 6'5". He's a really great athlete. He's a strong guy. He's tough as hell. He's a championship wrestler. He can play fullback, guard, or center. I got to have this guy. I mean, this guy's got to be a Niner. I mean, somehow, some way, Niners have got to find a way to get Willie Lampkin. If they get him in round 7 at pick 249, and I think it's reasonable to think he's going to go in the 7th round, That's an amazing pick. That is an amazing pick. That guy's going to be a great player. I don't know if it's at center, guard, fullback. I don't know. But this guy, you want this guy blocking on the goal line. Simple as that. And the last pick he's got here is Hunter Wohler. I don't know tons about him. The safety from Wisconsin. Didn't watch him. I'll have to study him. But that's a pretty damn good draft for the 49ers. That's hard. So you go Will Johnson, you get a blue chip corner. Then you get Walter Nolan in round 2. In round 3, you get 2 behemoth offensive linemen in Ursery and Trent Williams and Cam Williams. And then, so you have 4 players on the first 2 days of the draft of note. And then you come back on day 3 and you go Savion Jones, RJ Harvey, Cody Simon, Riley Leonard, Willie Lampkin, mix in the tight end from Nebraska and the safety from Wisconsin. That's, as far as I'm concerned, even if Wohler and Fedone were busts, you got 9 players in Lampkin, Leonard, Simon, Harvey, Savion Jones, Cam Williams, Ariante Ursi, Walter Nolan, and Will Johnson. That's one of the greatest drafts in Niner history. If this is the way this thing goes down, we will be doing cartwheels. The 49ers will be back in the playoffs and really back in the mix for the Super Bowl. I'm not even joking. You're adding Lampkin and Ursery and Cam Williams to your offensive line. You're adding Walter Nolan to your defensive line, along with Savion Jones. That's the only thing I would say is I probably would not draft the tight end in the 5th round, or the linebacker in the 5th round. And I probably would go with defensive linemen in the 5th round. I think I'd go with 5th round defensive linemen, but I'd have to see who they are. Aeneas Peebles and guys like that. Those are the guys that I'd look for. But we can nitpick this thing, but 5 picks on day 3 that really look good, and 4 picks on the first 2 days. That would be 9 players out of this draft, which would be a great haul for the Niners. So Matt Miller knows his stuff. That's why he's one of the best draft gurus in the country, and that's why ESPN pays him a lot of money to work for them. So I love Matt, and I love this mock. And if it goes down this way, I feel great about the 49ers' chances. I mean, not good, great about the 49ers' chances. All right, we are brought to you by Mancini's. Thanks to Mancini's. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corners, Sports Cards and Collectibles, and, of course, our good friends at Pig and a Pickle. And thanks to all of you for supporting The Krueger Show on YouTube.